I'm Allie with Potomac Beads. Join me in making this Crystal CRAW Bracelet featuring right angle weave with some briolettes in a little bit of a caterpillar creature look. We're going to create this Crystal CRAW Bracelet with some thread and needles. Gather up all your supplies, and if you still need some, check out the links below in the description to shop with us online. Go ahead and gather everything up and let's get started. To begin the design, we are going to be learning right angle weave. So we're making the base of our bracelet with a 6/0 big seed beads that we are going to create the base and then come back through. I have 0.006 Wildfire beading thread on a size 11 needle, and I have about 5 feet, putting a stop bead right at the end of the thread, just leaving enough to tie a knot onto. This bracelet, we're going to be going up and down the project multiple times, so I'll add the clasp after creating this base line. To create the right angle weave, we're going to be adding 4 beads onto our needle and thread. Let them drop down next to that stop bead, and I want you to sew back through the first 3 beads from the stop bead toward the 4th bead. What that's going to do is bring this into a little square. So that's our right angle weave unit. From here, we're going to continue to add these right angle weave blocks by adding 3 beads. I'm coming out of my 3rd bead there. That bead, which is currently the right hand side of this first box, is going to become the left hand side of the next box we create. 3 beads go on. I'm going to sew into the top of the bead that my thread is currently coming out of. That creates my next block there, you can see. And then I need to go in and come out again on that right hand side of this box. So I'm sewing through the bottom bead, and then this time I'm going to come up through the bead that's on the right hand side. With right angle weave, it's a series of figure 8s, and each time I do a right angle weave section, the thread will alternate. So it'll either be coming out the top of that right hand bead or out of the bottom. So once again, 3 more beads go on. I'm sewing into the opposite side of whichever way the thread is coming out of with this champagne 6/0s. Pull that nice and tight. Then also sew through the top bead. Last time we sewed through the bottom bead. And now we're sewing through the right hand bead and we're at the bottom. So you can see how these boxes are building one after one another. Again, 3 beads go on. This time, once again, I'm coming out the bottom, so I'll go into the top after adding those 3 beads, pull those the whole way through, sew through the next 2 beads, which is going to be either the bottom or the top bead, and then you want to come out the bead on the right-hand side. I'm going to continue this right angle weave section with my 6/0s the whole length of my wrist, leaving and knowing that I have about 3/4 of an inch that the clasp will add. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going with my right angle weave to create my whole base of my design. Once you're completed with your section here of that right angle weave with the 6/0s, and you can see with 6/0s they're kind of big and they want to flop down, don't worry about that. We'll make sure they sit exactly right as we come down and add the crystals in. From here, you can add in your clasp if you want to. I'm going to wait to add the clasp on so it's not heavy when I'm picking it up and working with it. I have my 15/0s out here, and those are in the champagne color as well, and then some shiny, platinum shiny 6mm pearls. You can also do this same exact design if you want to with 6mm crystals too for a little bit more bling. Coming out the last section of your right angle weave, I want you to sew back through the bottom or the top if you're there, whichever way your thread's coming out of, so that you're coming out the side of the right angle unit. We've been concentrating as we build on this right-hand side of the right angle unit. Now what we're going to concentrate is on the top and the bottom. I'm going to add 3 of my 15/0 seed beads onto my thread and needle. Then I'm going to pick up 1 of my pearls. From here, after picking up 1 of the pearls, I'm going to pick up 1, 2, 3 more of my 15/0s. Coming out the bottom bead on the left-hand side, I'm going to sew into the top bead also from the left toward the right. Give a nice tight pull. Add 2 more of your 15s onto your needle and thread. we're going to sew through the 15 prior to the pearl, as well as the pearl, and then the 15 after the pearl. Give it a nice tight pull, so we make sure that this sits right above that bead. And this first one, because of the way that the right angle weave unit is, you might have a little bit extra thread showing. We'll conceal that. Coming out of that 15-0 then, after the pearl, add 2 more 15s and go in from the right toward the left of that base 6-0 seed bead that your thread was originally coming out of. Give a nice tight pull, and that'll create that V section there on either side of the pearl and hide the thread. From here, you're going to sew through the left side of your right angle unit that the pearl is currently sitting on top of. And then this time I'm going to sew through the top bead. So just like we were doing with the right angle weave, every other time you're going to start at the bottom or the top of the design. 3 15-0s get added, followed by 1 of my pearls, 3 more 15-0s. I'm coming out the top left-hand side. I'm going to sew into the bottom left from the left toward the right. So the seed beads are staying to one side. Force that to the top. Add 2 more 15s. Go through the 15 before the pearl, and the 15 after the pearl. Once you do that, you want to pull your thread nice and tight to get that nice tight V there of your seed beads. Add 2 more 15s and sew back into the 6-0 that is at the top that your thread was originally coming out of. Make sure those seed beads sit toward the top and don't disappear into the interior of one of your 6-0 beads. From here, again, sew now through the left-hand bead of that box that you were just working on, and now I'm to the bottom. I'm going to repeat the whole way now, adding in the pearls so they sit in that nice V section to the top and the bottom of each right angle unit. Once you have all of your pearls in place here, and just to give you an idea, I have 25, and wrist-wise, when I'm looking at it, this is going to pretty much almost touch on my wrist because I still have that 14mm clasp to add on. So now that I've come down, I have my clasp here and just my Rivoli sitting there getting ready to add in as I kind of come down and add in my briolettes and my crystals. So I'm going to take this out and I'm going to first attach my lighter side. That way I don't have to carry the heavier side as I'm working on the project and coming down. Coming out my last right angle weave unit. This also, as a side note, would be a great bangle if you don't want to make it rounded and not add the clasp. I'm coming out of my last bead, opposite of my stop bead, and I am going to add 1, 2, 3, and 4 right there of my 15-0s. I want to make sure my clasp is sitting upright, so that tongue there is going to sit with the little trigger toward the top. I'm going to go through the bottom of the clasp. If you want to, you can use a wire guard here too. Then I'm going to go ahead and go back down through my first 15-0. So just back through that first one. This is going to be a single pass through the clasp, and then when I come back the opposite way as I run down my crystals and come back, I'll reinforce it one more time. When we get to the bottom and add the other side of the clasp, we'll reinforce it right away. 3 more 15s go on, and I'm going right back into that same 6-0 bead. That's going to put that clasp right after the end of that last right angle weave unit. From here, I'm going to go down through my 6-0, either at the top or the bottom, whichever way your thread is coming out, and prepare to add my crystals. Make sure my thread's not around my clasp here. Pull tight. And now I'm ready to come down the side of my 6-0s as my pearls kind of go toward the front, and then we'll flip over and we'll go down the opposite side as well. To continue the design now, you've done the hard work, you're on the easy side. In between every top and bottom 6-0 bead, you're going to add one of your briolettes. So I'm adding my Crystal AB. I pick one up. Coming out of the 6-0, you can see I've already added 3. Any seed beads that want to fall down into the 6, just kind of push them up as you pass your thread through the 6, adding that briolette. in on the side. You want to make sure as you're adding the briolette on the side that you don't have any thread that's twisted around itself. But it's super simple. You're going right down, adding your briolette and sewing through. Another design idea that you can do is add one side here with the longer briolettes or the bigger briolettes, and then on the top side use some rondelles, which will make it a great centerpiece for a necklace if you want to change this into a necklace design. So you can see here how it's sitting, that they're sitting perfectly on edge in between those 6 O's right along the line, and I'm going to keep adding them in the whole way up the design. So I've gone down one end here. You can see, like I was saying, this would make a lovely necklace, just smaller beads at the top there and those hanging down. And as the bracelet, you can see how it has kind of that crawling feature to it. So here I am at the end. I'm coming out of my last 6-0 on the bottom, and I'm going to go through the 6-0 that sits to the right-hand side. Just like I did on the other side, I'm adding 4 of my 15s, making sure my clasp is sitting upright. I'm going to go through the back of the clasp, go back down through bead number 1, go ahead and add 3 more 15s, and then back through that first 6-0. What I want to do now, because I'm not coming back down the design, I'm just going back towards the start, is I want to reinforce this clasp. To reinforce it, I'm going to go back up through all of these 15s, through the clasp as well, and then back down through the other side. Once I come back down through the other side, I'll be exiting this 6-0 seed bead right here. I'm going to go over to the next seed bead, the next 6-0 that runs along the top, and mimic those crystal briolettes on the opposite side, giving my other side some legs on the bracelet. Once you've completed adding your briolettes down both sides, you only have 2 things left to do. One is to take some glue and glue your beautiful Rivoli into there. And then the second is to remove the stop bead here and reinforce the clasp. So just like we did on the opposite side here, when going in and putting in our clasp on this side here, we are going to, the first thing I'm going to do before I even go in and reinforce is take off this stop bead, and this is an opportunity to tie this here together, leaving on that tail, so that way I can tie to it one more time as well. Tying that there, I can kind of hide that knot really easily in there. Take my thread and needle now, go through that 6-0 seed bead, go up through the clasp, reinforce it just like I did the other side, going through all 3 seed beads there, going through the 4th seed bead, going through the clasp, and then down the other side. Once you're down the other side, you can give another tie on to this end here, and then I'm just going to take my thread and needle and weave it down a little bit into the right angle weave at the base here, into those 6-0s. That way it'll set it and hold it in place. This bracelet is actually reversible, which I hadn't really thought about, that if you have the one side, you can have the pearls down, and the top side, then you can have the pearls up as you're wearing it. It really is an amazingly beautiful bracelet. I'll show you how it looks on, and it has that beautiful, beautiful multi-layer crystal glam look. Thanks so much for joining me in the beautiful creation of this Crystal CRAW bracelet. There are a lot of different things that you can do to this design to make it your own, and I can't wait to see the comments as well as postings in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making of your alterations to the design. You can do it with smaller beads, trying out some 8-0s and some smaller pearls, as well as crystal rounds or bicones on the side, rondelles, making it into a necklace, having longer briolettes hang down. Can't wait to see them all. Remember, if you do need any supplies to make this Crystal CRAW bracelet, go ahead and check out the links below to shop with us online at PotomacBeads.com as well as PotomacBeads.eu. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy your own blingy Crystal CRAW bracelet or necklace if you challenge yourself to make it into that design. Thanks so much for watching, and happy beading.